I will start with the prayer. Two prayers, both to Devi Saraswati. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavati Mesada. And there's a very beautiful prayer from Rishi Krisamada in the Rigveda. I will recite it as it is. You will be able to follow easily. Ambitame Naditame Devitame Saraswati Aprasasta Ivasmasi Prasastim Ambaraskriti. Ambitame, you are the greatest of mothers. Naditame, you are the greatest of rivers. Devitame, you are the greatest of Devis. Amma, I don't have any Prasasti, give me Prasasti. This is the prayer. You know, what a beautiful metaphor he is using. He is referring to a river, Naditame, best of mothers, best of rivers. He is also calling her a mother. Ambitame, he is also calling her a Devi. Why is he calling a river a mother? Why? Why is she a mother? Because this mother nurtured a civilization. Lakhs of people were on the banks of the river Saraswati who were entirely dependent on her for their living, not only for their water for the fields, not only water for the drinking, but also for navigation. I will demonstrate to you a remarkable finding that the Saraswati river was a navigable waterway from Rakhi Gadi through Farmana, through Kalibangan, through Binjor, Anupgarh, through Dholavera, through the Persian Gulf, to Tigris Euphrates rivers in the Mesopotamia, beyond Mediterranean Sea, right up to Israel, Haifa. It is a fantastic river. The width of the river average was about 6 kilometers. The width of the river in a place called Shatrana, 50 kilometers south of Patiala, was 20 kilometers. Width of the river. Can you believe that? Have you seen the river in Brahmaputra, Manas, in Arunachal Pradesh? It is 13 kilometers. Government of India has done just built a bridge for about 15 kilometers crossing the Brahmaputra. But this Saraswati was a bigger river than our brother, Brahmaputra. This Brahmaputri was a much grander river, a great river. It's allowed in the Rigveda. So we will talk about the findings about this river and why she disappeared. She has not disappeared. She is still alive. And I will also tell you, she will come back alive very soon. And what programs are being taken up will have an extraordinary effect. There will be engineering marvels that will recreate this great river. So we will be proud to be a generation where we will see the river Saraswati come back alive in our lifetime. Can you believe that? Listen to me, okay? Now, because we now have a total collection of 8,000 8,000 seals have been found, inscriptions have been found. Enormous information is made available to us, documenting how rich was the civilization. In fact, I can tell you in a summary of this presentation that India was a superpower in 4th millennium before Common Era. That is, 6,000 years ago, India was the superpower of the world. We controlled the entire trading activity for creating the tin bronze revolution that was taking place in Europe. And we were the intermediaries who were removing tin from the largest tin belt of the globe, that is the ancient Far East. All controlled by Himalayan rivers. Mekong, Irrawaddy, Salween flow into Burma. Mekong flows through Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. And we have got the Brahmaputra. So Brahmaputra and Saraswati were linked at a place called Rakhi Gadi. Rakhi Gadi became the largest site of the civilization, possibly the capital, 500 hectares. Why was Rakhi Gadi chosen as the capital? Because it is a center point linking Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra and Saraswati rivers. It was a transit point. It was a Patana where wood from Brahmaputra valley can get transported across through Saraswati valley into Europe. This is what is going on, okay? So we will talk about the trading centers of the river valleys of the Saraswati Sindhu civilization. We call it Saraswati Sindhu civilization. There are different names used: Harappan civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Mohenjo-daro civilization. No, it doesn't matter, whatever we call it. But the fact is that out of a total of about 2,600 archaeological sites that have been found on both these rivers, Sindhu and Saraswati. More than 2,000, that is more than 80% of the sites are not on Sindhu River. They are on the banks of river Saraswati. I will demonstrate that to you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the seals were used for authentication of trade transactions. They were creating wealth for the nation. And how the wealth for the nation was created, we will come to know. Because the seals themselves demonstrate that they were working as intermediaries to create wealth for the country, for the guild, for the Shreni. Then we will also talk about the decipherment of the script that has taken place. Almost all the 8,000 seals have been read completely, without any ambiguity, without any doubt, because they have been so beautifully rendered. I will give you some examples. They are astonishing. And the principles used are very, very simple principles. One principle is called the rebus, R-E-B-U-S. Rebus means similar sounding. Similar sounding. For example, Karnaka. Karnaka is a word which means rim of a jar. And Karna means an accountant, a scribe who writes down documentation. Karnaka. Karnaka also is a boat captain who takes the ship cargo. Karnaka. Karnaka, so a jar with its rim indicates Karnaka. A similar sounding word is Karnaka, which means a writer, a scribe, and a supercargo, or a man responsible for the cargo on the ship. That's called rebus principle. Okay, the same principle was used in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. The second point I'm going to bring out is what's called Spraakbund. It's a little technical in terms of the linguistics, languages, but this is very important. I will be demonstrating to you that all the languages of our country were united. All of them. Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Gujarati, Kashmiri, Prakrit, Pali, you name it, Assamese, Bengali, Oriya, even the Mon Khmer languages, they were all talking the same jargon, same, their pronunciation differences were there. So they were a speech union. Spraakbund means, Spraak means speech, Bund means union. Speech union. People coming from different parts of the country, different parts of the region, from Afghanistan, Pashto language, from Brahui language, from Bhojpuri, Maithili, Gujarati, or Kashmiri, or Assamese, or Bengali, or Santali, Munda, are all talking, contributing to the richness of the entire civilizational activities, the trading activities of the people. Okay. I am making the presentation in 4 parts. Part 1, the trading system of 4,000 before Common Era, from Hanoi, Vietnam to Haifa, Israel. Can you imagine the map? Hanoi, Vietnam, ancient Far East, to Haifa, Israel, ancient Near East. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2, Saraswati and Sindhu river valleys as trade centers. Why they become trade centers? And what were the regional activities in these 2 river valleys? Part 3, reconstructing the trade history back to 10,000 before Common Era. Because we can reasonably certainly establish archaeologically that cotton cultivation was taking place in 6th millennium BC. Rice cultivation was taking place in 6th millennium BC, both in the Ganga Valley and Saraswati River valleys. We were also working with silk threads. We were working with metals, minerals, alloys, and creating metallic hardware and creating wealth. So we'll reconstruct the history back to incredibly deep time, just almost after the Ice Age. When the entire Europe was filled with ice up to 24 feet, India was not affected by the Ice Age because of a very important reason, the formation of the Himalayas. I will call it the dynamic Himalayas. So I will have to take a digression and give a little information about this geological phenomenon called the dynamic Himalayas, okay, which created a lot of upheavals in the hydrological systems of our country. And part 4, I will be giving you the good news that the Saraswati River is coming back again alive. She will flow from Patna to Sabarmati in Gujarat, where we have the grand statue of the Sardar Patel, who unified our country. We will have a unified river, which will unify the entire northwest India, and making that river flow into the desert lands, where our Marustali will become Marudam. It will become fertile land. We will be able to stop the march of the desert and make it fertile again. It will be an astonishing engineering marvel, unprecedented in the history of human civilization. I will talk about that, okay? So there are 4 parts: trading system, trade centers, reconstruct the history, trading history, and Saraswati coming back alive, okay? Now let's start with 1. Okay, now, why am I showing these pictures? They are the inscriptions. They're all meaningful, every single piece. For example, here is a person, an anthropomorph, a human being. The bottom portion, the thighs, are that of a cow or a bull, or the tail of a bull. He's lifting up his right hand, and he has got horns of a zebu. Zebu, Bos indicus, the grand zebu bull. You know, you see the huge hump. So what is he doing here? He is trying to communicate a message about what he is trying to convey. He is trying to convey a person who is a dungar. Dungar is a bull. Dungar is a blacksmith. The zebu horns are pola. Pola is a zebu. And pola means magnetite for right ore. He is lifting up his right arm. Yaraka is lifting up the right arm. Yaraka means metal infusion. So he is working with metal forging, metal smelting, mineral smelting, creating power. So he is a blacksmith, ironsmith, goldsmith, work with minerals and metals. That's what the picture says. It's an anthropomorph. So it's a pictorial representation. It's a Rebus principle. Dangar, bull, dangar, Thakur, blacksmith, Thakura, Thakare, blacksmith. Rabindranath Tagore, Tagore comes from the same gene. Thakare, Thakar, Dangar. So this is a very important symbolic representation. Now we have got next screen, a very beautiful seal. The number of information, all are pictures. Every one is a picture called a hieroglyph. Like these European hieroglyphs. Each picture can be read. I told you about the rim of a jar. Look at the first seal from the symbol on the right side. On the top of the seal, there is a rim of a jar. It's a jar, narrow like jar, and the rim is shown. It clearly wants to identify the rim of the jar. The rim of the jar is Karnaka. Karnaka is Karna, an accountant, a scribe, yeah? Seagoing, seafaring merchant. Okay, so like that, each of the seals, hieroglyphs can be read. And now we have the beautiful one-horned young bull. See, this is a bull. Is it clear? The bull's sexual organ is shown emphatically. The body of the bull is shown. The face of the bull is shown. And there is a horn. This horn, why is only one horn? Because he wants to communicate a word for that horn. There is a word in Santali which means singin. Singin means forward thrusting spiny horn. A person who is spiny horn, forward thrusting horn, is singin. Surprise! A similar sounding word, singi, means ornament gold. There are 2 types of gold. Kundan gold, singi gold. Kundan is pure gold, fine gold. Second one is singi, ornament gold. The difference between 24 karat gold and 22 karat gold. You add a copper or silver, make it 22 karat. 2 carats of copper and silver. So it makes it 22 karat ornament gold. So he is saying, I am an ornament goldsmith. Konda, Agnikunda. Agnikunda is called Konda in Kannada language. Konda means an iron fire pit with fiery coal, live coals, where people do the fire walking. It's called Konda Haba. in Karnataka. Konda means the bull, young bull is called Konda in Marathi, in a number of other languages, Gujarati, Konda. Konda means also a furnace in Kashmiri. So he is now communicating information. I have got a furnace. I am an ornament goldsmith. And he says, I have got some device in front of me. What is that device? It's got two parts. On top is Kunda. Kunda is a lathe where you drill through and create a perforated bead. You see the perforated beads on the bottom portion of the portable furnace. That portable furnace is called Kamata. Kamata is also a rebus word. Kamata means a portable gold furnace. Kamata means also a mint where coins are made, metals are worked on, and hardware is created. It's a mint, metals mint. So he is working with a lathe, Kunda, that means fine gold, Kundan fine gold, and Kamata. So what he is communicating through this in picture, pictorials is the hieroglyphs of Konda, Agrikunda, Kundar, turner, ornament, gold, smith, Singhi, working with in a mint with a lathe and fine gold. Look at the information. So the rebus principle is able to very clearly demonstrate to us the meanings being communicated by these hieroglyphs. That it has got only one horn. It's also clearly shown in a toy that has been made. It also shows one horn, a forward thrusting horn. So the intention of the writer, the scribe, is very categorical. He wants to add that horn to communicate a word, to communicate meaningful information, a messaging system. Okay? So now we have got the trading system identified in three parts. The evidence is provided by InduScript. Evidence is provided for maritime trade. Evidence is provided for stone and metal technologies. And the seals are used for authenticating or documentation or stamping. Like, you know, the hallmark. If you go to a goldsmith shop, he'll give you a hallmark, 99% purity gold. So that's a hallmarking system. Same thing is being done with this. When he puts on a seal, he says, I am certifying, I am a Karnika, I am certifying that this is pure gold. I am certifying this is ABC material. I am certifying this is ABC metal. I am certifying this type of alloy. These are the components of the alloys. All that meaning is unclear. So as I told you, I repeat it again because very important. The key principles of the writing system are tied to tradition. And I will demonstrate to you that tradition did not die. Saraswati civilization did not die. Saraswati Sindhu civilization did not die. It continues to live even today. We continue to use the same symbols on front of our temples, on the Sanchi Toranas, and on Panchmar coins that were produced from the 6th century BC. And I will demonstrate to you the Spragbund, the speech union, by showing how these words, like as I told you, Konda, Kunda, Konda, how these variations in pronunciations occurs in different languages. I will show you some examples. So what is a speech union? They were all able to understand each other, whether he's from Tamil Nadu, or Kerala, or Oriya, or Assamese, working in the Saraswati Valley or Ganga Valley. They were able to talk to each other and communicate without any problem because it was a speech union. So the information that you have received so far traditionally, that we have got an Aryan, Dravidian, Mundarika, all that is Pankam. All the languages are working together, people are working together in a common area of speech. In fact, when Burrow and Emano created the Dravidian etymological dictionary, they did fine. They identified about 5,000 words, which seem to be very distinctive in the Dravidian languages. That is Tamil, Telugu, to Malayalam, Kannada, fine. But then one of the authors, Emano, comes to Annamalai University and makes a lecture and says, sorry, I did a mistake. There are so many words which are common with these so-called Dravidian words, with the Indo-Aryan words, so-called Dravidian words, with the Mundarika words. So there was, he said, came out with the statement that India was a spark bund. It is a linguistic area where people talking from different language families got together and spoke and understood words from each other and borrowed those words and made them their own in their languages. This is called a spark bund. So this spark bund is an absolutely accepted format for understanding the linguistic history of our country. Okay, all the languages are together. In fact, if there is one summary of the presentation, this is this: India was united in languages. All the languages of today, which are listed in the Constitution of India, are all coming from the same Saraswati Sindhu civilization source. The common language framework, you can call it Velha. Malacca Straits, Lecha, Meluha. Meluha means mispronunciation, ungrammatical pronunciation. It's like the speech of a person working on the field and a speech of a scholar talking from Sanskritam Veda and all that. So there's a distinction between the literary word and the spoken word. They are called dialects. So all these dialects of our country constituted a speech union, Sprague Bund. Okay, number one. Number two, the principle used is very simple in the writing system. Just similar sounding words. As I told you, singing, one horn, or thrusting, spiny horn, singi, ornament gold. So singing, ornament gold, singi, ornament gold. Similar sounding word. As simple as that. So every one of these hieroglyphs that are listed on top of the seal are hieroglyphs. They are not syllables. Each hieroglyph represents a word which has got meaning in the Velha Sprague Bund. Okay? Now we'll go to next. We'll go through examples of InterScript decipherment. But that's a background to it. There was a tin bronze revolution of the 4th millennium BC. Of course, the bronze articles have been found in a place called Nahal Mishmar in Israel. Brilliant products. But they were made of arsenical bronze, a naturally occurring source material of copper plus arsenic. But it was in short supply. But some brilliant metallurgists found out the idea that it is possible to create bronze by adding tin to copper. By alloying tin with copper, it is possible to create bronze, which have the same characteristics as the arsenical bronze. So this is called the tin bronze revolution. When arsenical bronze, a naturally occurring alloy mineral, was in short supply, somebody invented the idea of creating an alloy of tin and copper, called it bronze, kamcha, kanchu, kamsa, bell metal. And this kanchu, this bronze, became so important because it was harder. Copper is a very soft material, we can't do much work with that. But if you add this alloying material of tin, you can create bronze, which makes it harder. So you can create a sickle, you can create a plowshare, you can even create a sword or a knife. You can create tools to work with. You can create hardware, metalware, household-ware, like bartan, like pots, for purpose of cooking and so on, okay? Or cauldrons. So this tin bronze evolution is very important. But then the big search went on, what was the source of tin? Tin was not available in Europe. Only place was Cromwell in Britain. There was some source available. But a little source available in Anatolia and all that, but not enough. But surprise, you see this world map. The largest tin belt of the globe, indicated by these red dots, is not in Europe. It's in the ancient Far East. In 3 river valleys. Mekong River Valley, which flows through Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Irrawaddy Salween rivers, which flow through Burma. These are the 2 river valleys which account for the tin belt of the globe. 75% of the tin resource of the world comes from this region. A few years ago, a group of German scientists were trying to find out what was the source for the tin bronze revolution. They came up with a surprising result, but it related only to copper. They said the entire copper The entire copper, which was used in the entire Europe for the tin bronze evolution, came from, mark my words, India, ancient India, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Khetri mines. By provenance analysis, Bugman and group were able to prove and published in the Iranian journal that copper, which sourced the tin bronze evolution, came from the Khetri mines of India. Surprise! But where did tin come from? There have been differences of opinion about this, and work is still going on. European Union sanctioned a $3 million euro project for determining the source of tin. It was not successful, but I can tell you, I'll demonstrate to you that the tin came from the ancient Far East, from the Mekong, Irrawaddy, Salween deltas. And India was the intermediary point. Our traders interacted with the traders from the ancient Far East and carried on the tin trade through Brahmaputra, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Persian Gulf, Tigris, Euphrates, and Mediterranean Sea to take it up to Haifa in Israel. So there was a tin bronze evolution mediated by an ancient maritime tin route, which predated the Silk Road by 2 millennia, accounting for the tin that was brought from the ancient Far East into Israel, right into Israel. But there's a got to be proved, work is still going on to prove the provenance analysis, because it's very difficult to identify the source of tin within a bronze material. But they can be done with a little more effort, looking at all the sources of material that have been used for creating this bronze evolution. But now we have got a great advantage. We have got about 8,000 inscriptions have been found. Are you able to read it? Over 8,000 Indus inscriptions have been found. 8,000! About 6,000 in India, Saraswati, Sindhu river valleys. 2,000 the Persian Gulf sites, and about 1,000 in Mesopotamia, ancient Near East. Massive amount of documentation. And beauty, the entire documentation relates to the wealth creating metalwork. Working with metals, gems and jewels, lapidary work, metalwork. They are accounted for, they are written down in ledgers. The details of all the accounting transactions of trade and wealth created. All these inscriptions are all about wealth creating accounting system. It's good. The accountants were the initial inventors of the writing system. Possibly this is the oldest writing system older than cuneiform, older than Egyptian hieroglyphs. Because what evidence has been found in Harappa dating the script writing to 3300 before Common Era in a pot shed. I will show you a picture of that. Okay. So metalwork and lapidary work, wealth accounting ledgers. And I told you the underlying language is a Sprach Bund, a speech union. We will call it Meluha from the Malacca Straits, from Lecha, that is used in our ancient texts. Lecha means mispronunciation of words. So that became the language identifying the people, Meluha. Lecha means also copper. So they were metal workers. Lechita Vikalpa is a word used by Vatsyayana and is one of the arts that are taught to the youth, 64 arts. One of the arts is Lechita Vikalpa. How to write the way the Mlechas wrote, the way the metal workers wrote. That's called Lechita Vikalpa, speech union. With the decipherment will prove the essential semantic unity of all Bharatiya languages, which constitute the lingua franca for us today. This is the sum and substance of my entire presentation. All the languages of our country were united. They constituted one language framework, from which there were variations. After all, the dialects evolve. There is the nature of language. It undergoes change, evolves. I will demonstrate that to you. Okay? So the documentation of inscriptions are primary sources to unravel the economic history of ancient Bharat, which is a superpower by 4th millennium before Common Era. 4th millennium becomes superpower. But earlier to that, a lot of activity was going on. For example, we have the site of Kalibangan and Kunal, where it has been archaeologically dated to 7th millennium before Common Era. We are living in pit dwellings, round dwellings. Okay? So this is the story that will be unfolding with the decipherment script. So now we have seen the tin plate of the world is in the Far East. How do we say this system was used? I got evidence. There are what are called Dongson bronze drums, which are about huge drums. On the tympanum, they are using Indus script hieroglyphs. That means they were speakers of the Indus Spragbund. The pictures shown are elephant, peacock, tiger, crane. Come on. They're all Indus script hieroglyphs to signify metalwork. So they were using Indus script hieroglyphs on top of the tympanums of the Dongson bronze drums. And the University of Hawaii linguists have conclusively proved that the Mon Khmer languages, that is the languages spoken in Vietnam, Laos, in that area, called Mon Khmer, Khmer, were sourced from Santali, sourced from Mundarika. Where are they spoken? Northern Orissa, Bastar, Southern Parganas, Bihar, Chhattisgarh. These are the speakers who were traveling to the entire ancient forest and establishing the Bali Yatra. Okay? So Eurasia's demand for tin to make tin bronze was necessitated because there was scarcity of arsenical copper, arsenical bronze, arsenic plus copper available. So the tin became a very important resource. And the tin was valued, according to cuneiform records, more valuable than gold. Tin was important because you have to add tin to copper to get that bronze, to make a hard metal. So the maritime tin route, there were two routes of the maritime. One is the Indian Ocean, across Sri Lanka, Arabian Ocean, Persian Gulf, is one route. Second route is along the riverine waterways. Mekong was a riverine waterway, Irrawaddy Salmon was riverine waterways, Brahmaputra was a riverine waterway, Yamuna, Ganga were riverine waterways, Saraswati was a riverine waterway, Persian Gulf was a riverine waterway. So riverine waterways and the Indian Ocean constituted the ancient maritime tin route, which supplied the tin from the ancient Far East by using the seafaring merchants of Meluha. They are referred to as Bharatam Janam in the Rig Veda. In Rig Veda Richa 3.53.12, Vishwamitra refers to Bharatam Janam. Very categorically. So this is the very first time the word Bharata is used in the Rig Veda. Why are they called Bharata? There could be two opinions. One is referring to some person called Bharata. Another reason, Bharata means an alloy. Bharatanche Bhande in Marathi means household ware made of Bharata metal. Bharata is a factitious alloy made of copper, pewter, tin and zinc. Can you believe that? Bharatanche Bhande. They are the Bharatas. They are the Bharatan Janam. They were real class metal workers. Okay. Okay. How did this tradition continue? Our history starts according to Western academicians. So say somewhere around 300 before Common Era, when Alexander comes to invade India. Here is a picture of Alexander and Porus, Purushottama. This painting is exhibited in the SAIL Institute, Steel Authority of India Limited Institute in Ranchi. Steel Authority of India is a training executives in metalwork, in steel work, iron work, in the Ranchi Institute. There this painting is shown. Look at the painting carefully. Purushottama is presenting a gift to Alexander. It's a steel sword, Ukku sword. And in the background, blacksmiths are working. It's a smithy at work, a forge at work. India was renowned all over the world for the production of steel. Crucible steel, which could be used for making Ukku sword. Uts, Ukku, Utsa, comes from the Indian word. How was it made? Crucible iron. Rigveda describes it completely. Using a yupa, kamba, setting it on fire, and on top of the yupa putting a ring called the chasala, which is kodhuma, wheat chaff. It's set on fire, And the fumes of this Goduma enter into the molten metal to convert iron into steel. Carbon enters, another element is entered. So it's alloying of iron with carbon alloy to create steel. This steel sword is gifted to Alexander. Of course, Alexander goes back with his troops revolting, and he goes back and dies because he was also injured in that fight. And there are different accounts about that. We are not concerned with that part of the history. We are going back in time, okay? So, but this is a very important image. This is the hallmark of the metallurgical supremacy that India enjoyed. In fact, quite likely that Alexander came into India in search of this Swarna Bhumi to find the gold and metal resources of this country, which was very well renowned. In fact, the word Sindhan means cotton. Sindh, cotton. So India was the clothier of the world. So all the clothes that Alexander was wearing possibly came from India. Cotton clothes or muslin or even silk came from India. Okay. Okay. Now, how do you say that there was a tin bronze evolution? On the right side, you will see 3 tin ingots, very clearly written with script, Indian script hieroglyphs. Every one of them is an Indian script hieroglyph. One lady's face, one antelope, one egg sign. These 3 tin ingots, 25 kilograms each, constituted 99% purity of tin. Almost like standardized certification of tin. Tin of 99% purity was found in a shipwreck that occurred in Haifa, Israel. What I am telling you is, where did this tin come from? It came from a place where written by the people who knew how to write in the script. The people who know how to write in the script were from the ancient Far East, created the Dongsan bronze drums with the Indus hieroglyphs, or the 8,000 hieroglyphs that have been found on 8,000 inscriptions of the Saraswati Sindhu Indus script corpora. So these fields have been very categorically proved that the tin for these 3 tin ingots in a shipwreck in Haifa came from an area where Indus script was in use. I will read out the script inscriptions, hieroglyphs, okay? So I have given the references as to where it came from in the municipality of Haifa, and how a third script was found in a car repair shop where tin is used for purpose of soldering. It's a very important component. In fact, tin is also used for purpose of tinning the even household vessels. In Kumbakonam, for instance, you make brass vessels and it's tinned inside, so that it creates a particular flavor for the food that you cook or cooking. And this has been ruled in a journal article that I wrote. It has been published in the Journal of the Indo-Judaic Studies in 2010. And an update with the third ingot also has been accepted for publication. It's coming out in the next issue of 2020. There I have shown that these hieroglyphs that are shown on these ingots are readable in Meluha. Ranku is a liquid measure. You know that square, that little on top, it's a liquid measure. Ranku. And Ranku means tin. Then this is an antelope. Ranku is an antelope. Ranku means tin. So when you use antelope or the liquid measure, you are referring to the word tin, Ranku. The rebus, similar sounding word Ranku means tin, tin ore, calcitrate ore. The next is Dhatu, Dhatu, cross, Dhatna. Dhatu, Dhatu, mineral ore. So Ranku Dhatu. Ranku Dhatu. Tin, mineral ore. Tin, mineral ore. Otherwise is face. Muha, Mukha is a face. Similar sounding word, Muha means ingot. So Ranku Dhatu Mukha. Tin, mineral ore, ingot. So you see, I am giving you tin, mineral ore, ingot. These are the ingots. What clearer documentation than this do you want? Somebody earlier suggested it was a Cretan script, but has been disproved. There are all the details are in the journal article. It can be read. And if any queries are there, I'll be happy to answer. Okay. So Ranku Dhatu Muha very clearly shows that the IndusScript people created the writing system, documented them, and were the transmitters as seafaring merchants of the tin ore from the ancient Far East into Haifa. Look at the stretch, 7,000 kilometers long. Very grand maritime tin route was in operation, which was earlier than the Silk Road by 2 millennia before the Silk Road emerges. Okay? This is the story of the tin. Okay, I told you that the script is dated to 3300 BCE. What is the proof? This was found by a team from Harvard Archaeological Research Project. It went to Harappa, did a little more detailed analysis beyond the work that by Madhusurup was, and found a potsherd. It contains 3 symbols. This is a clear writing of a script, a writing system which symbol is used in a number of inscriptions of the corpora. So James Canoyer calls it the earliest writing system of the world. 3300 BC, the earliest dated, archaeologically dated, stratigraphically dated. There are 3 symbols repeated. Kolom is 3, Kolimi, Smithi 4. Similar sounding rebus. Kolom 3, Kolimi, Smithi Forge. What are they working on? Tagaraka, a fragrance flower with 5 petals. Taverna montana, fragrance flower. The same fragrance flower is used for hair fragrance, hair tonic, hair dhatu. Tagaraka. Tagara means tin. So the reading is Tagara Kolimi, tin Smithi Forge. So the earliest working of tin is documented in this Harappa portion. Is it clear? And this has been proved by the Archaeological Research Project team and dated to 3300 before Common Era. That is 5300 years ago, this writing system started. Okay. Now we talked about the beautiful so-called unicorn. I told you it's one-horned young bull, which is ligated with a forward thrusting spiny horn. Look at the spiny horn. In that seal, what meticulous care. In a small seal, hardly about 1.5 inch. He is able to meticulously show that he is showing a spiny horn, a forward thrusting horn, a curved horn. And the word for that, as I told you, is singin. Forward thrusting spiny horn. Rebus, singi, ornament gold. Is it clear? Konda, young bull. The pannier that you bear shows a sack. It's also called konda. It's a sack where articles are held for purpose of transporting either a caravan of donkeys or other animals, camels and so on. Konda, slightly similar sounding word. Kundar is a turner. Konda is a kiln or a furnace. As I told you, Konda is a Agnikunda. Fiery live coal pit. Konda. So he was working with a furnace, a fire altar, and working with ornament gold. Now look at the symbol standard in front of it. Kunda lathe. On top is a lathe. So he is showing the way he is writing there, so that is a turning of the lathe that was taking place. A turning lathe. And it is appointed because we can drill a hole, create a perforation. So you can take a bead and create a hole and into that bead. So that's why the lathe is used. Lathe, Kunda is fine gold. Kamata is portable gold furnace in the bottom portion. There are 2 parts. One is the top is the lathe, second is the portable furnace. Rebus is Kamata mint. So what is he working with? He is working with fine gold and then a mint. So this turner, this lapidary, this smith, working with ornament gold, fine gold, in a mint. Now look at it. There's an organizing principle. They are all working together. A constitution, some kind of a guild was being created. They were working together for a common purpose. And we're also going to take it more deeper as to how the wealth was created for the country. Now, look at the first sign, as I told you, that rim of a jar, sign 342 in Mahadevan Concordance, Archaeological Survey of India 1977. This is how the picture is shown. The sign is recognized, sign 342, rim of a jar. Burnt is a jar, then pot. Bhatta is a pot of fire. Bhatta is a kiln, furnace, oven, fireplace. Bhatti is a forge. So, a forge. Kanda is a pot. Kanka, rim of a pot. Kanda Karnaka, equipment accountant. Karani, supercargo, responsible for overseeing the cargo on its sail. And there are two small little rims, two horizontal strokes, splinter, saw workshop. So what is showing with this sign 342 is Bhati Kanda Karnashala. Karnashala. Splinter workshop. Kanda Karnashala. Equipment writers workshop. Bhati Kanda Karnashala. Furnace equipment writers workshop. Can you believe that? Look at the amount of information that's been captured in this hieroglyph by ligatoring principle, by adding fine little information. Furnace equipment writers workshop. And this happens to be the most frequently used hieroglyph in the entire script. About 85% of the entire set of inscriptions contain this symbol. So that means they are authentication, they are hallmark certifications made by this Karnaka writer saying, I am certifying what I am sending to you as my shipment, as a seafaring merchant. Okay? This is the script. So what is the cipher? Two principles. One, rebus, similar sounding. Second, spragbund. See, the words are similar sounding, but with slight pronunciation variations. So it's very difficult to reconstruct what exactly was the sound of the word that was used at this point in time. We have some written documentation, but that also has got the same variations in sounds. So every word that you take has got so many pronunciation variations in dialects. So that's how come we see superficially distinct languages in our country, but they're all dialects coming from the same source. Am I with you? Am I doing something wrong? So I am trying to establish that the cipher of the Spragbund, the speech union, where people spoke with different pronunciation variants, called the dialects, but were communicating meaning very precisely. Okay. Okay. Now, why were these trade centers? The trade centers because of their particular location. This location was immune from the Ice Age. Virtually the entire Europe was covered with 24 inches of complete snow during the Ice Age. That is about 10,000 years before, or earlier. There could be disputes about the rate of the Ice Age. But this area was not affected by the Ice Age. So living was possible here, cultivation was possible here, and working with metals was also possible here. So these became natural trading centers. And with the availability of resources from the ancient Far East and the local resources of the K3 mines, revolution was unleashed. The tin bronze revolution took place. So the coastal route, the ancient maritime tin route, covered an entire vast area from the ancient Far East, from the Mekong Delta, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, then the Malacca Straits, Indonesia, Java, then Burma, then the east coast of Orissa, then Sri Lanka, then west coast of India, Kerala and upwards, through Gulf of Combat, Persian Gulf, and so on. So there were two waterways. One was the riverine waterways and the Indian Ocean. So the Indian Ocean route in the riverine waterways constituted the maritime tin route. The most important point is the third paragraph. The trade centers were guilds. Shreni. Guild is a remarkable organization. We'll talk about it a little more, but I'll tell you briefly. We talk about economics, wealth of nations, Adam Smith. How is the wealth of nation created? 4 factors: land, labor, capital, organization. Correct? Land, labor, capital, organization. Land means resource, land resources, material resources, and so on. Labor, skills of the artisans. Labor, capital, initial input of creating a project. Advances to be given. Pranam. So that when the activity can start. Capital. And most important, organization. The work of the organization of a guild, shady, is astonishing. In the Indian context, this is now where we talk about the tradition. We don't talk about civilization, we talk about tradition. In the Indian tradition, the extended family became a guild of commonly with similar activities, common activities. Like, for example, metal workers, like farmers, like cotton growers, like carpenters. They all constitute different trades, different occupational competence. Some could be artists, some could be writers, some could be singers, musicians. So there could be a variety of talent could be influenced for. But they constitute themselves into guilds with a common purpose. And very importantly, these guilds operate on one principle. The guild's wealth is not an individual wealth. It's the wealth of the nation, wealth of the treasury. So all the earnings were remitted into the treasury by the Jangat principle. Jangat. They constituted the mechanism whereby the wealth was multiplied. And when money was needed by the entrepreneurs or the seafaring merchants, it was advanced from the treasury. The guild took care of their requirements during times of need, and the guild members contributed to kept for them whatever needed for their living. The rest of it was credited to the treasury. This constituted the organization of the guild. Okay? Okay, now look at this. Here's a guild. Why is it showing 3 faces of animals that are joined to one body? This is Sangada. Sangada is joined animals, joined parts. Sangada. Sangada has got 2 meanings. One is accumulation, second is catamaran, a cargo boat. A grand boat, where it can carry cargo boat. So he's communicating a message by showing distinct animals. One is an animal with 2 horns, a bull. Another is our famous singing unicorn. And third is an antelope goat. Anybody that? Ranku antelope, Ranku tin, Bharat bull, Bharata alloy of copper and tin, and the bull is butting. Mutti is butting. Mutti is a goldsmith. Mustika. So a goldsmith working with Bharata alloy, a Konda furnace, turner working with ornament gold, and tin ore. Tin ore, ornament gold, alloys, and gold. These 3 constitute the guild of artisans. Of car, ear. Look at the ear. Ear is very key determinant. Car is ear, car is blacksmith. So similar sounding word, car. Code, horn, code workshop. Blacksmith workshop. So thus this particular picture, so anything, just the conversation is only this. 3 heads of the animals. 3 distinct animals, very clearly identified. Catamaran, which cargoes of ore, ornament gold, furnace alloy metals, and what is on goldsmith metal workshop. This is a seal created out of Shanka, Tarbinalla Pyram, found in Dwaraka by Dr. S.R. Rao. And this seal is available in the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa, in the director's office. I was stunned when I saw it. It's a small thumbnail shape, size, and it is communicating information. Look at the information. Look at the documentation. So they were documenting wealth of great importance for their livelihood and for the glory of the nation, the wealth of the nation. Am I with you? Right. Oh, look at this. This organization was coordinated beautifully by a group of people called Ritvij. That is, who knew how to formulate a principle of processing, a yagna. Here is a silver vase that was found in Bactria. Now can be seen in the Miho Museum in Japan, Tokyo, made of silver. Contains a lot of information. 4 pairs of priests are shown in the top register, and the bottom register, farmers at work and carrying some information, some cargo. And they are also wearing a very beautiful Uttariyam shawl, like the one worn by the Mohenjo-daro priest, with a trefoil. And he is also wearing a fillet on his forehead, also on his right shoulder. A particular fillet component, gold bead, was also found in Harappa. Maybe this is what is similar to what he is wearing. Poth is a gold bead. Potru is a Ritvij. Is a purifier. Is a purifier of metal. And that person gets this trefoil. 3 gold foils like this. This is a gold foil. There could be a gold foil for copper. There is a gold foil for silver. 3 were tied together using this clip that was there, part of the foil that could be tied into the clothing, embroidered like the kachi embroidery, creating the trefoil. Poddar, Potadara, Nasayer of metals, becomes a very important functionary in the guild organization. He's a key guy. He controls the quality of work, who is able to certify the material and give a hallmark certification that this is it, guys. And this person, this Mohenjo-daro priest, was found in a temple area, 2-storied building, and the temple was a smithy. There is a word in Kota language, Kolel, K-O-L-E-L, Kolel, which means a temple. And Kolel also means a smithy and a forge. The smithy and the forge was a temple, and he was in charge. He was a principal in charge. There were other principal charges. So this Potadara was the coordinator of the work of these people working together. He was not a leader or a king. He was only a priest, singing the songs of Samaveda or the Rigveda or Yajurveda. And he is anointed, according to Satapada Brahmana, in a function called the Traidatavi Ishti. Traidatavi means 3 wars, 3 mineral wars. Ishti is a performance, a ritual. So 3 wars like this were taken, oils were taken with a clip, and they were stitched in, and he was anointed as the Potru, as a Ritvij, as a Brahman, as a Netru, as a Subramanya, as a Netru, Potru, Advaryu. There were about 16 of them. Earlier there were only 4, and they were, as the activity became on an industrial scale, it became an organization of great importance, which had to be systematically dividing the functions among themselves for controlling the processing of these wealth resources. The very first Richa of the Rigveda is Agni Mele Purohitam. What type of Agni? Ratna Dhatamam. From Agni that gives wealth. Ratna, jewels, wealth. Dhavat. Dhai is a war. Vatta is a circle. Dhavatta. Dhavada is a smelter. So a Dhavad Potru is represented by this Mohenjo-daro priest. And there were 8 such priests with distinct functions. For example, here you see there are 2 perforated vessels that have been archaeologically found. And at the bottom, ingots that are produced. Yagna, the Yajurveda very clearly says, Yagna is the process by which metals like copper, tin, gold, silver are processed. Kalpitam, kalpam, kalpaniya. How the explanation given by Sayanacharya. So they are formed and fashioned out of these metals. So forming and fashioning wealth-giving sources of these gems and jewels or these mineral articles or alloys constituted the creation of wealth of the country. Vaidatavi Vishti, Satapada Brahmana. Satapada Brahmana is one of the Brahmanas used for Yajurveda. So this also gives us a clear indication that the Indus script was subsequent to the process of the Rigveda. Brahmana is a later date. So this script is using the material that is identified in the Brahmanas. The evidence of the text matches with the evidence from the artifacts and the Indus script artifacts. So this is an Indus script artifact, the priest statue. So the person's role is remembered. The statue is made of him. He was a living person. A heritage that was handed down by him, he is venerated as a Rituj. Now you get surprised under evidence. The same one-horned young bull finds a place in a celebration that is taking place in Mesopotamia, in a place called Mari, Tigris Euphrates river. So that priest, similar looking priest from the Mohenjo-daro priest, is carrying a banner. Look at the banner. The flagstaff. It's not a flagstaff. It's a millet. So it's a hieroglyph. On top of it, he's showing reins of a ring, the horse reins, and the one-horned bull. So he's communicating a message. The Indus message is being communicated. Konda, young bull, he is using the konda, which is a sorghum millet, halka sorghum, jondla. Konda is a jondla. Konda is a halkas sorghum millet. He is working with konda. Furnace was melting. Kunda, one of Kovera's nine treasures, Kundana fine gold. So he is announcing in a proclamation, in a procession, that our artists and artisans have discovered ways of processing fine gold and ornament gold. Revolution. The metallurgical brilliance, the metallurgical discovery is being announced in the procession in Mari, approximately dated to 2500 before Common Era. Can you believe a flagstaff carried on a millet come, a popcorn like that, and on top of it, the one-horned bull. And we also have got seals which show this one-horned bull in a position, together with the standard and all that. So now you see the intent of the writing system. The writing system is intended to communicate to people who use Veloka language, this part one, clear information about wealth creating activities, wealth accounting ledgers. Accountants documenting wealth accounting ledgers. Okay. Is it possible for us to date back? After all, it would have taken quite some years for this to have matured into such kind of an industrial size activity in a guild. So it's a hypothesis that we can go back beyond 7000 BCE of the Kalibangan and Kunal areas for these reasons. One, the entire region was habitable all around the year. The Ice Age was no hindrance, and it hosted permanent facilities for agriculture and created a group of thinkers and traders. The thinkers exhibited by the brilliant metaphoricals, texts of the Chandas of the Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, and Brahmanas and Upanishads. What enormity of knowledge transmitted, what enormity of insights and inquisition that was taking place. The Veda itself is a word which says, we to know. So there was an inquiry. People were eager to know what's going on here. You take mere stone and earth from mere Mother Earth and put it into fire, and out comes earth. What's going on here? What is the phenomenon? So the evidence, I suppose, I posit as a hypothesis that the indicators fit with the geological tectonic evidence, evidence of the Indian epics and folklore, the tradition, most important. Folklore is a tradition. We cannot ignore that. In fact, all the mythology is also an important tradition which are as valuable as truth. They are the finest expressions of truth. And the Landsat images of 1970s, how they aided the discovery of thousands of sites moving from Far East to the entire Indian subcontinent. So we'll reconstruct. Look at this. The script was used for communicating the message as a broadcast for a wider audience. On top of this gateway, a signboard was put up. This discovery is an astonishing miracle. How it was found. And there's a beautiful video clip on that available. I will send it to you. It shows how it was discovered and how each of the seals in hieroglyphs is identified and what they communicate. They communicate the work in Arka. Sark is a Pashto word, Pushto. Afghanistan, Takshashila region is a wheel, a potter's wheel, Sark. Circle, arc, circ, charka, chakra, metal, metathesis. Arka is sun, Arka is gold and copper. This is Arka, Arkashala. Shala is Paros, Arkashala. So he is communicating Arkashala. What is the matter of doing in Arkashala? Working with a variety of metals. Loha, Kunta, hard iron, Loha copper, working with engravers, writers, Kanchu bronze, Kutila, bronze, 8 parts of copper, 2 parts of tin. They were producing brilliant articles. Dhaka, Dhankana, there is a lid. Dhaka means excellent, bright, basic metal. Ajab, Khanda, Ajab, Khanda, implements. So they are producing implements, producing copperware, metalware, and working with minerals. Claws or pincers of a crab, Dhatu metal. The business image is clear. I am a Arkashala, goldsmith workshop, copper workshop, work with a variety of metals. I am capable of doing zero conduit casting, last wax method casting. I am a metal caster. And I work with a variety of metals. Metal infusion. I create bronze. Kanchamuha, well metal. Loha, ficus glomerata. And he has got beautifully enlivened Kara, Kar, blacksmith. And the 3 signs is represents Kolmi. Kolom 3, Kolmi, smithy forge. Loha, copper, smithy forge. Blacksmith. Copper blacksmith working in a smithy and forge. That's what it is. So Kunta is a fin. Kunta is a hard iron, native metal. So what was iron was made hard metal. Anything that was made hard, called iron. Now, one more evidence to show it's Meluha. This is a seal in cuneiform writing. The cuneiform script says, Yeme Baal Meluhaki. He is an interpreter of Meluha. This man sitting on the lap of the trader, Mesopotamian trader, he is writing about himself as a seal. Interpreter of Meluha. Yeme Baal Meluhaki. Who are the Meluha? These are the 2 Meluha. This lady is carrying a liquid measure, Ranku. This man, the bearded person, trader is from Meluha, is carrying a goat, the bearded goat, Milk. Mreka, Milha, copper, blecha. So copper merchant, tin merchant. So copper and tin are being traded with a Mesopotamian trader, and this man interpreted. So this is one reason why I posited the hypothesis that the ancient maritime route, which can take us back beyond 7,000 before Common Era. So the hieroglyphs are Kamar, the moon, Kamar is a blacksmith in Pashto language, or it could be a crucible. Potari is a crucible, Potari is a treasure. Mel, Mreka, goat, Melaku is copper, Ranku liquid measure, Ranku is tin. So the cylinder seal available in the Musée de l'Ouvre, Paris, clearly shows that the Melka merchants are transacting tin bronze revolution trade. Seafaring merchants. All readable because of the Indus script. Very clear. Mel, Mreka, goat. Rebus, Melaku, copper. Mlecha, copper. Melha, Mlecha, they are cognate words with different pronunciations. Is it clear? More. Again from Louvre. A pot was discovered. On the pot there was inscriptions like fish and all that, flowing water. And the pot contained material. It's a cargo pot. It's a sealed cargo with a tin lid on top. Contained this equipment, these hardware, these metalware. What clear proof that do you want that the Meluha was being used for transporting cargo? Metalware. Susa pot. So from Meluha to Susa. Susa to Meluha. This is transaction taking place on the other direction. The arrow should be the other way around. Persian Gulf. It went through the, most likely it went through the Persian Gulf route. Because it was very easy to transact these navigable waterways. Very shallow waterways, gentle flows, not with a gradient in use. So this Mohenjo-daro tablet shows this. Who is this guy? Why there is a crocodile and a fish? Ayakara is a blacksmith. Aya is fish. Ayas is alloy metal. Panini. Karu is a whale crocodile. Kar, as we know, is a blacksmith. So Ayakara. Metal smith. Iron smith. Alloy smith. Alloy metal smith. Fish. Aya. Ayas. Kanda. Flowing water. Kanda. Equipment. This is evidence which is archaeologically evidenced that script was being used for transshipping cargo from one place or another with inscriptions which are using hieroglyphs. So here's an advance over the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs are being used by the traders and artisans as mechanism for messaging systems, accounting systems, ledgering systems, daybook systems. Creating a daybook for activities of the artisans and agreed. So an organization was slowly taking shape to create industrial scale operation with highly urbanized centers of trade like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Sarvodaro, Kalibangan, Dholavira, Lothal, Rakhigadhi. We will see why Rakhigadhi is the most important site, which has made this the capital of the civilization because it's the center point connecting two waterways, Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra with Saraswati and Persian Gulf. So it was at the water divide between Yamuna and Vishwadhati, Saraswati, Hakara rivers, Gaggar rivers. Now, there are more evidence of trade, but this comes from a different place. This comes from Ain Sukna, north of Suez Canal on the Red Sea. A shipwreck was found by French archaeologists, and the cargo boat was made with tied coir ropes, sewing the boat planks together with coir ropes. And this coir was from Kerala. Coir was not available in the Middle East. And so French archaeologists came down to see how the technique is going forward even today in Kerala to build the cargo boats. Sangaram. Sewn cargo boat of Kerala, and this archaeologically at Ain Sukna has been dated to 19th century before Common Era. Can you believe that? 4,500 years ago, there was transaction taking place. So that means it's not a mythical hypothesis just thrown out of thin air. It has got evidence to back up the possibility of an ancient maritime tin route, which is also used for transacting this cargo trade. It's a magnificent, and there's a very beautiful video available created by the French archaeologists from Central Egypt, which shows this discovery. And work is still going on because there are also found some articles made of Sere Purdue technique, last wax technique, same technique that was used for making the dancing girls of Mohenjo-daro. Same technique is even used even today in Swamimalai for making bronze statues of Nataraja, Krishna, Rama, all the divinities. Sere Purdue, last wax technique. So they were metal casters. Why do we call it Saraswati Sindhu civilization? Look at the sites. So the river emerges automatically. 2,000 archaeological sites are not on the river Sindhu, but in a parallel road system called the river Saraswati, Hakra, Rishadoti, Yamuna, Satluj. Packed with sites. 80% of the sites are on the banks of this river. So you don't have to look for the river, it's there. Just map all the archaeological sites on a empty map of Asia, the river will automatically emerge. So it is the navigable waterways that created this trading possibility of long distance trading. It was possible because of the navigable waterways with a gentle sloping gradient which made this possible. So you can both ways, it was easy to transact on boats. And then through, this was a navigable area, there are Kutch, the Gulf of Kambat was a navigable area, Arabian Sea, then Persian Gulf. So where are the Aryas? They are simply Arya, respected persons. They are people doing some good work for the benefit of the community at large. So they got identified as respectable people, the elders of the society, the elders of the community. That's Arya. So there is no need for creating any racist connotations for the word Arya, which I think is meaningless, because people were there from all kinds of areas. People from Bactria came here. People from ancient Far East came here. People from Tamil Nadu came here. From Kerala came here. From Bihar came here. From Assam came here. All came together in a Sprachbund, speech union. Now we have got satellite imagery. What stunning images have been produced? Why did the Saraswati disappear? Look at the gaps. There's a tear. The Shivalik ranges, sub-Himalayan ranges, they tore apart. They just moved apart. One part here, moving away Satluj, another part here, moving away Yamuna. The Shivalik ranges laterally moved, creating gaps. Two tears. One tear called the Yamuna tear, the second tear called the Satluj tear, which diverted these river systems, which are flowing into Saraswati southwards. Yamuna diverted eastwards, Satluj diverted westwards. So this migration was caused by these tears. What caused these tears? Why did these Shivalik ranges, very old mountain ranges, just tear apart? Let us look at it deeper. Landsat image. The river is seen very clearly. The Paleo channel, the old channel. Average width of the channel is about 6 kilometers. And at a place called Anupgarh, there is a split. One channel goes southwards towards Jaisalmer. Another channel goes westwards towards Marot, Bhavalpur province, Cholistan, Pakistan. 7 kilometers from Anupgarh is the Pakistan border. So this river was flowing, there was a split. And at this place called Anupgarh, there is a site called Bijor, 4 MSR. The Kunda was found, the Ekta Kunda was found with an octagonal pillar. Astasri Yupa. This Astasri Yupa is mentioned in the Vedic texts has octagonal pillar, a Ketu, a proclamation of performance of Yajna. This octagonal pillar is venerated in the Atharvaveda Sukta called the Skamba Sukta. And on top of this pillar was a Shashala, a Goduma or a wheat chaff ring. So this pillar was set on fire, the wheat chaff was set on fire, and the fumes entered the molten metal infusions, and added carbon to iron. Iron became steel. So this element of adding carbon element to the process of Chashala and Yupa is so important that it is recognized in song and dance and sculptures all over the country. Nidrakuta has been formed with octagonal pillar, Astasari Yupa. Beauty. Thanks to the work done by the Indian Space Research Organization, the team of scientists led from Jodhpur, Regional Remote Sensing Service Center, have been able to entirely map the paleo channels of the old river systems, right from Himalayas down to Gujarat, to run of Kutch, and they have drawn up this map. This map adorns the office of the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Narendra Modi. He can show proudly to the diplomats who come to visit him the work done by our scientists. They identify every great river called the river Saraswati. Ambitame, Naditame, Devitame, Saraswati has been formed. Look at the channel width. More than 6 km width. A number of channels flowing in with categorical identification. And the beauty of this work is the scientists went further. Apart from drawing up a map shown from the satellite image, they had groundwork done to establish the ground truth, Bhum Satyam. They identified spots, 25 spots, using 3 scientific principles. 1, it must be on a paleo channel. It must be close to an archaeological site. And 3, there must be a fault line. With these 3 parameters, they identified 25 sites for drilling. Groundwater Authority of India took up a project called Saraswati Project and drilled these the bore wells in these 25 spots. All of them yielded fresh glacial waters at a depth of only 100 to 200 feet. So that means the entire Rann of Kutch, the entire Marustali region is floating on a sea of fresh glacial water of this river Saraswati system. It's possible to use them, but we have to be very careful. We have to ensure there is proper recharge of the groundwater by external sources or the ground sources. And that's being done. So this beauty of the map, satellite imagery, validated by the ground truth analysis by the groundwater authorities, have conclusively proved that a huge borewell of a diameter of about 2 feet is gushing out water and making available water to the desert-prone areas. And work has already begun on cultivation in about 5 lakh hectares of land. Much of the desert is being stopped. It's a remarkable achievement by independent Bharat. Okay, now you see, what happened to this great river? Has it died? No. But why did it happen? Why did it undergo such turmoil, such tremors? Because of this, the dynamic Himalayas are the cause. The Himalayas are the youngest mountain range in the world. In geological time, maybe about 3 million years old. Maybe 10 million, it's mad. The process began about 50 to 70 million years ago when the Indian subcontinent broke away from the African subcontinent, up the African continent, and started moving northwards, northeasterly direction. A slow march, marching at about 6 centimeters per year. So, tuck, 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 and getting into the Eurasian plate and lifting it up. Himalayas are formed. So, the action of the Indian subcontinental plate, jetting into the Eurasian plate and lifting it up, is the cause for the formation of the Himalayas. Himalayas are growing 1 centimeter every year. Karakoram K2 is almost close to Mount Everest in terms of height. So this Tandava Nrityam, this cosmic dance is taking place. This cosmic dance results in upheavals in the hydrology system, river systems. Saraswati river system got hit with the tearing apart of the Shivalik ranges because of the tectonic events. Almost every day earthquake occurs of variety of intensity from 1.2 on the Richter scale to 7.2 on the Richter scale. For example, the Bhuj earthquake of 2001 was at 6.9 on the Richter scale, huge. A gigantic earthquake took place, which uplifted almost like the Allahabad, some land and brought down some rivers. This dynamic Himalaya is the major cause for the Satluj tear and Yamuna tear of the Shivalik ranges, which resulted in the diversion of Yamuna eastwards to join Ganga, diversion of Satluj westwards join Sindhu. Both Satluj and Yamuna were tributaries of river Saraswati, making it a navigable river for millions of years, from 10,000 BC to maybe 2000 before Common Era. Look at the Himalayas, the dynamic Himalayas. Look at the stretch. On the east side, it starts from Hanoi in Vietnam, passes through Kunming, Lhasa, Karakoram, Pamir, Hindu Kush, Karakum, Tabriz, Caucasus, beyond Caspian Sea. 5,200 kilometers is the range of the Himalayas. Look at the river systems. Tuang He, Yangtze, Mekong, Maganga, Salween, Irrawaddy, Thangpo, Brahmaputra, Ganga. Of course, then we get Satluj along. This is the stage. This is the cosmic dance. So how do we metaphorize it? How do we create a metaphor? We create a Kailasa mountain, create a Kailasa Natha, the divine supreme, sits on top of the summit and yields Ganga through his hair. He is a water giver, Kailasa Natha. So we create Shivalingas, octagonal pillars, Vishnu Bhaga, Rudra Bhaga, Shiv, Brahma Bhaga, and do Abhishekam 24 hours to indicate that he is a water giver. So this is the greatest water giver of the world. The greatest water giver of the world, growing water tower. Because the Himalayas are growing 1 centimeter, the snow and ice form the ice, form the fresh water, are growing higher than the amount of discharge through glacial belts. Perennial water source is created. This dynamic Himalayas explains the river Saraswati. How important is the river? So our national poet Kalidasa says this. I have to read it out. Astyuttarasyam dishi devatatma Himalayo namanaga Hirajara Purvaparau toyonidhi vigahya Chata Prithivya eva Manadandaha. Look at this! It's like a Manadanda, it's a measuring rod of the entire earth. Ragati Raja is Devatatma, divine life principle, divine life principle, Himalaya, which is the north, northern direction. Prithivya eva Manadanda. How blessed we are that we have this great divine source of life, of water, which can just flow from that height of 24,000 feet to every single part of the entire Southeast Asia, entire India, to reach every village, every household, to ensure 24/7 drinking water, warm water for every field by gravity. It's possible, being done. Astutrasyam Disi Devatatma Himalayo Nama Nagaraja. What better metaphor than this we want. So, we can go back in time. Angus Madison did this chart for the European Union before it was formed. He recommended the formation of the European Union. He says, you get together, you will make a richer country, as it happened in the case of ancient India. He demonstrated through this chart that in one common era, ancient India accounted for more than 33% of the world GDP. China accounted for about 25%. Later on, there was a downward trend. That's a different story. They are not concerned about. They are concerned at this one common era and going backwards. What did happen? How did India account for 33% of the global GDP in one common era? What was the millennia work that was being done that can explain this well? And we have found evidence in the script of 8,000 inscriptions which document wealth creation activities. We won't start. We know that there was a cultivation of rice, can start. Cultivation of millets, grains, silk, making clothing, and making industrial material. Maybe warfare equipment too. That's taking place because of the tin bronze revolution. So the tin bronze revolution was accompanied by the identification of iron resources also at the same time. There was no distinction between the bronze age and iron age. There was a continuity. There was an overlap, as brilliantly proved by Galkani Posal and Pravina Golapalli in their research thesis. Iron was existing in this Saraswati civilization area. We know that we will be able to reconstruct the economic history of our country and its region, Eurasia, maybe up to 10,000 BCE from one common era. But then we can ask the question also, is it possible to get back this river? Will she be reborn? Yes. The answer is yes. By using the glacial waters of another river called Sharada, another name for river Saraswati, which now flow into Ganga as the Kosi, causing a lot of floods and all that. Those waters can be used and diverted into the Saraswati river to recreate the old flow of Saraswati river right up to Sabarmati. It can be done in 5 years' time, as proved in a Supreme Court judgment led by Chief Justice Kapadia in 2012. We have seen the map of the river. Here is a time slice of the accumulation of archaeological sites. 4,000 before Common Era, it was like this. 3,700 before Common Era, sites growing. And by about 2,500 BC, a large cluster of sites accumulating on the Saraswati River Valley and some Sindhu Valley sites. You can break it down into smaller chunks to identify the clear activity growth of technological evolution that was taking place in terms of architecture, artwork, metalwork, lapidary work, gems and jewels, jewelry and so on. Food producing activities, agricultural, textile activities and so on. This is how it's produced. River Sharada, number 5, will flow across Ganga and Yamuna. Number 6, through the Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat. Number 7, up to Sabarmati in Gujarat, almost near the Gulf of Kambach. From Sharada, Patna to Kambach, Saraswati River will be reborn using the Sharada River glacial waters, which come from the Milam Glacier in Nepal. Agreement has been signed with the government of Nepal for using the Sharada River waters. We will get the water and Nepal will get the electrical power through hydroelectric power projects. So with that fair sharing arrangement, the water of Sharada will help recreate river Saraswati. The possibility studies have been completed and work can start now. Work can be done in 7 years as Supreme Court directed, detailing a monitoring process with the Prime Minister and chair of the monitoring committee to get this task done. Together with using the Brahmaputra waters to prevent the floods in the Brahmaputra, which is a regular annual event, by diverting the flood waters through the Farakka barrage, through Ganga, through Subarnarekha, through Mahanadi, down south. So the flood waters of Brahmaputra can add to the water requirements of the area south of India. River Saraswati can take care of northwest Bharat. This is the national water grid. Objective 24/7 water, tap water for every home, 24/7 water for every field, 24/7 water for every farm, every home. Nal se jal, through water, through taps. Will it happen? How will the crossing of the Ganga and Yamuna take place? We have examples. Ganga and Yamuna have to be crossed. Gigantic rivers have to be crossed. It can be done. We have examples of the Roman aqueduct, the Spanish aqueduct, where like a road over bridge, a water over bridge, will carry the canal and cross the river system that flows underneath. Aqueduct. The Sarada river aqueducts can cross Yamuna and Ganga and reach into Saraswati. They will be an engineering marvel. When you see the gigantic river systems of Ganga and Yamuna being crossed almost near Prayag, where the Triveni Sangam is taking place, we will have the Sarada recreated to water the desert area of northwest Bharat. That desert area is an alluvial soil, just flowing water. It will just fertile. 3 crops can be grown every year. At least about another 2 million hectares of land in total cultivation to add to the granary of the world. India can feed the world with this resource. This is how the river looks like. Charra or Kali River from Milam, Malaysia, Pittorgarh, going to Uttarakhand. Yes, look at the dynamic Himalayas. It's growing, yielding water. Only we have to use it. It's up to our engineering talent and competence. Ensuring environmental sustenance is well taken care of. Any displaced persons are properly accounted for and taken care of. Then the water will reach all over the country. 24/7, Nal Se Jal. It will be the national mission that is planned for. And so on. The project is on. The mission is on. So what have we done so far? We have identified a language union, the Sprague Bund, which will make the dream of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel a reality. We will be able to take the country back to the stage when we contributed 30% of the world GDP. The European Union was recommended based on that economic situation. It was brought out by the economic historian Angus Maddison. So our rishis, our pitrus, our artisans, seafaring merchants made this Bharatam the superpower, the Rashtra of the world in one common era, after millennia of hard work and abhidayam to promote the welfare of the people. Documented a number of works which will be made available to you. I'll send the copies to you. Please do go through them, critique them, criticize them, correct them. We are all liable to commit mistakes. We'll correct ourselves as we go along in search of truth. And this is what happens in the
for skill development. So I move to the second theme, economic development. Aspirational India, economic development and caring society. I'm now talking on economic development. And in economic development, industry, commerce, and investment are the ones which come first in our. So the most important thing as an introduction I'd like to say here, the guilds of Saraswati Sindhu civilization and the Harappan seals are remarkable. Saraswati Sindhu civilization is about 4,000 before the Common Era. They belong, the seals in particular, belong to 3,300 BCE, before the Common Era. Words from the Indus script, which are all hieroglyphs, have been deciphered. Words from those hieroglyphs have been deciphered. Interesting words which we need to know when we're talking about commerce and industry. Commerce and trade-related words show how India for a millennia has been a continuing civilization with rich skills in metallurgy, rich skills in trading, and so on. Sreni is a word found in the Harappan seals, which means guild. Seti is a word found in the Harappan seals, which means wholesale merchant. Seti was a wholesale merchant in the Sindhu civilization, Saraswati Sindhu civilization. Poddar is an assayer of metal into treasury. And also, India is a continuing maritime power in terms of commerce and industry. Takara Kodumi is using word which shows blacksmithery and also iron and tinsmithery existed that time. So India's commerce, India's industry, India's trade in such materials which were all unique to India have existed and continues to exist over the millennia. So entrepreneurship has always been the strength of India. That's the point I wanted to explain. I'm sure many members already know it, and therefore they are a bit restless. Entrepreneurship has always been the strength of India. Even today, young men and women have given up greener pastures elsewhere to come.
I think we can now say namaste. What have we done? We have gone through the tradition. Look at the two ladies on terracotta toys. They are wearing sindoor in the parting of the hair, the mang. The tradition that continues even today. These toys are dated to 2500 BC in a place called Osharo, near Mehergarh. Isn't it a great continuity of the tradition? Saraswati civilization lives on. Look at the two girls, the dancing girl with a dance step, carrying a deepam, a batti, a wick of a lamp, batti, furnace. She signifies the furnace. A swastika, jasta, zinc, namaste, yoga postures. The millennial traditions live on. History lives on. History is all around us, even today. Hundreds of mints continue to use the same Indus script hieroglyphs to represent the metals they were working with, the guilds they were working with, the mints they were working on, and the product they were producing. They were creating wealth for the nation. So this story has to be told. And I made a beginning. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Participants, I have one question. The word lecha is actually used for non-Aryas, people who are fallen, or yes, at least right now it's used like that. You seem to be drawing a correlationship between Meluha and Mlecha. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah. I can respond to that, Deepika. Patanjali and Manu, both of them refer to the word mleccha. And they very clearly refer to mleccha, not in derogatory terms, but as people who mispronounce words and use grammatically wrong explanations in words. See, there was a time when the processing of the yajna was got to be meticulously done with a lot of care in the pronunciation of words. So God, a lot of importance was given to that. So the mleccha was used only in the context of mispronunciation of words, only as a dialectical formation. In fact, in the Mahabharata, when Yudhishthira meets Vidura in the Jatagriha Parva, that is where they were put into a, Duryodhana was planning to burn them in a black house, black palace. Then Vidura and Yudhishthira converse in mleccha. That's what the language, so mleccha is identified as a language in the Mahabharata. Mleccha is identified as a language related activity. Vachayana uses the word mlecchita vikalpa as a representation of mleccha in writing system, as a cipher. So the mleccha is not a derogatory term as a foreigner. Mleccha only refers to the mispronunciation of words. So anybody who mispronounces is looked upon as a person who was not in the joint gang of the literary ritual, the activity of prayers, which have got to meticulously follow the pronunciation described in the ancient sacred texts. So that is what the explanation.
Correct. Thank you, sir.
So one of the decipherments that you showed was Furnace Equipment Writers Workshop. So what does a furnace equipment writer do? I don't understand this function.
In fact, no.
And the other thing is, every decipherment seems to be related to metallurgy in some way, shape or form, which gives the impression that the entire Saraswati Sindhu civilization has been trading only in metallurgical related things, but not perhaps in grain or cloth or anything. So can you just explain why this is so?
Yeah, I'll answer both the points. So first is, metal work was combined with the lapidary work of gems and jewels. See, beautiful, we have to look for evidences. Archaeologically, evidences have been found of working with carnelian, agate, lapis lazuli, and other precious metals, precious stones and metals. So both were working together. Unfortunately, I could not find any documentation about trading in cotton or textiles. I don't know. Maybe more coming. But as of now, the 8,000 inscriptions that we have relate to these two activities: metal work, lapidary work, working with gems and jewels. And then the second, the language itself, see, the pronunciation undergoes change as in dialects. That's about the only argument that I can do.
I have one question. Like, you have very nicely connected the Sindhu Saraswati with the South India. So is there any relation within Sindhu Saraswati with the Brahmaputra, means northeastern part of the India?
Absolutely, sir. In fact, unfortunately, our archaeological work has not gone south and east. I have a feeling that the entire work of iron work that was recorded came from Dharwad and from Orissa. The Rourkela, Bokaro steel plants, and the iron from the Dharwad Sahyadri ranges. Most of the Bronze Age sites are in Orissa, east coast, and in Bengal, Bangladesh, and also in the Far Eastern region. They have not been adequately covered archaeologically. There was definitely a contact between South India and North India, as I showed you in the case of a catamaran from Kerala that ended up in Suez Canal, Ain Sukna, dated to 19th century before Common Era. There was a contact. Even today, the bronze work continues brilliantly in Kerala. Look at the Aranmula Kannadi, the mirror made of bronze. So beautifully made with very high tin content, 27% is tin. Is made even today in Aranmula. So there was a lot of contact. We are not able to record it. And most important, I will give you the evidence. In Swami Malai, in South India, on the banks of the Kaveri, the Sirepadu work of metal casting using the lost wax technique continues even today, where the Nataraja, Krishna, Rama images are made using the same technique that was used for making the dancing girls of Mohenjo-daro. What more do we want? There was a contact, only we are not able to prove it archaeologically.
Thanks for such an informative talk. Sir, I have a question about the decline of this Sindhu Saraswati civilization. Sir, actually, there are basically three theories in this regard. First one is that Aryans invaded that land and they dismantled each thing. And then the second theory is some natural factor, climatic changes and tectonic plates shift. And the third one is about change in the river course. So, sir, which theory do you find close to your intellectual acumen?
I am very categorical that the river tributaries of the Saraswati River migrated primarily because of the dynamic Himalayas and the plate tectonics which caused the virtual devastation in the Shivalik ranges. So the Sutlej tear north of Ropar, north of Chandigarh, and the Yamuna tear near Dehradun are the principal causes for the movement of Yamuna eastwards and Sutlej westwards. And Rakhigarhi location is very important in my view. It is a 500-hectare site, possibly the capital of the civilization, because it's located on the water divide on the Aravalli range trough, which divides the Yamuna flowing eastwards and Saraswati flowing westwards. It was possibly a patana where the transshipment of goods were taking place from the Brahmaputra basin, Yamuna Ganga basin to Saraswati basin and beyond into Persian Gulf and so on. So I think we have got to do more work in identifying the links between the ancient Far East tin ore sites, Bronze Age sites of Orissa, Bangladesh, Bengal, and related to the Saraswati civilization. Number one. Number two, the sites of the Ahar Banas culture, the so-called copper hoard culture, very close to Rakhigarhi, should be looked upon as a continuum of the Saraswati civilization. So we do not know, we have not documented the enough amount of trading activity that could have taken place between the Ganga Yamuna Doab of iron and copper hoard activities and the Saraswati river activities. As they have seen, copper has been conclusively proved to be K3 mines for the entire European region. The source was copper was from K3 mines. So similarly, if we are able to prove that the tin ore came from the ancient Far East, we will have a different narrative to say that the civilization was part of the Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. They were all part of the same civilizational grouping, about which more archaeological work investigations have to be done to look at the amount of trade links that took place. So trading link activities are the most critical things which you are not able to identify very precisely, primarily because in the Gangetic plain, the archaeological work is very difficult. The depth of the sedimentation goes up to, so in places up to 200 meters. So possibly a huge pralayam took place which brought in the Himalayan waters and created the sediment deposits. So we are not able to go to the ground level in the Ganga Yamuna basin to identify the spots. So archaeological work in the Ganga Yamuna basin is very tough. So the Sinavali finding is of own importance. I would say that the Ahar Banas culture was a continuum of the Saraswati civilization culture. This explains the amount of activity, the trading activity that was taking place, and the industrial activity of an urban scale that was occurring all over the country. Not only restricted to the Saraswati basin, but to the entire country. On the Narmada, on the Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri, and so on. And also on the coastline. We have a long coastline of 8,000 kilometers. We know about the Bali Yatra, which is celebrated every year on the Kartik Purnima day, where we remember our ancestors going to the Bali, going to the ancient Far East. So we have got to do work on that area too. So we have a greater India which existed, about which we will slowly forget.
Thank you for a great lesson, sir. Recent finding of Vaigali Valley and Keladadi is a part of Saraswati civilization. Similar findings.
Oh yeah. So the Keladadi excavation
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
is a good pointer. I found only one piece of evidence which is remarkable. That is the Carnelian ring. Carnelian comes from Gujarat. And the ring had a Varaha.
Yes.
Varaha is in the script, hieroglyph, which represents an artisan, an artificer. Badiga. Badi is a castrated boar. Badiga is an artificer. So the trader who was working with both copper, metal and wood is a Badiga artificer. That ring shows that the Keladadi man had links with Saraswati civilization, number one. Number two, the Keladadi excavation also proves the validity of the Purananuru verse, which talks about the whaler, the South Indian merchant class, who record in their document in the Purananuru verse that 49 generations ago, their ancestors came from Dwaraka after the Dwaraka got submerged. Tovarai they call it. So there is a literary Rangam literary evidence which links up the Kiradi with Saraswati civilization. We have to do more work like this, and I'm definite that just as we have found the Swami Malay Serapadu techniques being used, which are the same as the Mohenjo-daro techniques, we also find people of the Kiradi and other sites of the South India on the river banks of the South Indian rivers will also show up links with the Saraswati civilization, making it one unified Bharatiya civilization.
Okay.
There's a message I see on the data
Yes.
about Lemuria. See, the Lemuria is a difficult concept to comprehend because we are not talking of, see, the geological time runs into millions of years. Archaeological time is only about 6,000, 7,000, 10,000 maximum. So it's very difficult to theorize about issues like this. Lemuria has been identified as, because the lemur monkey, same monkey is found also in Africa. So that shows the continental divide, plate tectonic. Even is proved by Lemuria. But beyond that, we do not know what type of people lived there, what activities they had. We are only able to conjecture. So it proves only a theorization. So just as the geological time is a theory, 50 million, 70 million years ago, can we even imagine that? How do we comprehend that? How do we identify activities that take place millions of years ago? We cannot. We only have to go by what are material evidences that come up and able to prove the points. We do not know. But there is definitely a continental drift that has taken place, which created the Lemurian link. The Lemuria monkey, being the lemur monkey of Africa, and lemur monkey of Gonda are the same. So that shows the continental drift is taking place because continental drift is a reality. You are able to see the dynamic Himalayas. So that reality cannot be countered. But to date it, to actively, historically document it, is a tough job. I don't know how to do it.
So Ramayana and Mahabharata archaeological findings meets with Saraswati civilization, or that's difference?
So I don't know. See, Ramayana can be linked up because of the work in Shanka. As you know, the work in Shanka is so important that the same type of bangle that's worn in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa and all that are owned by the Kachi ladies are worn today in Bengal and Orissa. No marriage takes place in Bengal or Orissa without the Shanka bangle. And Shanka comes from the Ramsetu area. Ramayana is linked there. So 10 crore annual turnover of Shanka takes place in Kiradi, in Kerakarai, Indian Ramsetu. So there is a link with Ramayana. Ramayana documents the movement of people from the north to south. Rama's journey of Dandakaranya is also a journey of uniting the country. Mahabharata also has got sites, but unfortunately we are not able to do enough archaeological work in Mahabharata sites to identify the chronology of events that have taken place. Because the point I mentioned to you about the archaeological difficulty of coping with the huge sediment of sand that has been brought in by the Pralaya, mentioned in our ancient Puranas. 60 to 200 meters of sedimentation. How do you explain that? How do you go deep into it and dig into it and find out what type of settlements existed? They're only skimming the surface. So Ramayana and Mahabharata are integral components of our identification of the country, the cultural unity of the country, which is matched by unity brought out by the decipherment of the script. These are one country, one Bharatam, Bharatam Janam. Rigveda Vishwamitra very clearly says, this mantra will protect the future of Bharatam Janam. Vishwamitra Rakshita Brahmedam Bharatam Janam. What it says. Vishwamitra Rakshati Brahma Idam Bharatam Janam. Brahma is mantra will protect the Bharatam Janam.
Pranam Srinivasan ji. I'm very much I don't know how to express the feeling that I have after listening to you. I'm from Mumbai. The question that I have about the recent discovery at Sonali, can we relate to the discovery that we've got from Sonali to the Mahabharata? I have another question, but the first question is this: can we relate the discovery that we have from Sonali to the period of Mahabharata?
Yes, we can. See, in Chinavali, one coffin has been found with 8 ficus leaves on top, anthropomorphs.
Uh-huh.
Ficus leaf that man with a horn is shown. So he was an important person. He was a Lohakara. He was a metallurgist. He was working also with the chariot. So the working with the chariot is mentioned in our Rigveda. Working with metals is mentioned in our interscript decipherment. So working is taking place in Chinavali also. In Chinavali also one dance was found. One dancer, one gold dancer was found. Like the dance step of the Mohenjo-daro dancing girls, a dancer was found wearing a cap. That fellow is also showing a dance step. It means a metal work was going on. Dance step is Mettu. Mettu is a dance step. Med means iron. So that means that Chinavali will also link up to the Saraswati civilization area of work. Chinavali will link up with the Aharbanas copper hoard culture. And the copper hoard culture will link up with the 10 bronze evolution, which is part of the Saraswati civilization, Saraswati Sindhu civilization values. So there is a definite link up. The entire story will emerge when more and more work is done and analytical material is brought out and material evidence is shown.
Thank you so much on that, sir. There's another question that I have. With so much of discovery that we have, where we've been constantly found that India has been a civilization which is considered the oldest civilization in the world, but India has still cannot find the name that we should get in the international forum. What is that challenge that we are finding, and what as youth we can do to keep that name?
Well, a lot can be done, sir. I'll tell you what. Let this message of the Indus Saraswati, the Sindhu Saraswati civilization reach every child on every cell phone. Why not make available all these 8,000 pictures and messages to the children on an app which can be available on a cell phone by download? Make it available. Let the people understand. Let them discuss. Let there be a debate. I think it's possible to contribute in a number of ways. In your own field, whether you're an artist or a writer or a historian or a metallurgist or a scientist working with mathematics, talk about our mathematical knowledge systems. See, the entire country has been resonating with knowledge systems, whether it's Ayurveda or architecture or building temples, performing pujas for the divinities, and understanding ourselves through the Vedic inquiries of the Upanishads and so on. Messages can be, enormous communication has to take place. A lot of distortions have taken place. They got a remedy, and every child must understand that the identity of a Bharatiya is beyond any doubt. Right from the days of the Rigveda, Bharatam Janam, the Bharata continues. The activities continue. The culture that binds a small little person sitting under a coconut tree or a palm tree in the remotest village in Kanyakumari can match up with a person in Gujarat. Same culture, same attitude towards life, same reliance on dharma. He does the work, he follows and says, I will keep only things that I need. The subject is for sharing. That concept of sharing is so beautiful. That has been brought out by the Sera Dharma, which made our country rich. That lives on, that cannot go away. The persons who believe that they can contribute in their own might, I think will be able to make a significant difference in correcting the mistakes that have taken place in the past, feeling proud about our own identity, and reinforce that identity by making a statement on your field of work, whether it's a mathematical work or mechanical work or artistic endeavors. Do it. In dance, look at the dance, Bharata's Natyashastra. Look at the aesthetics that are brought out in the dance forms and the communication through the wrists. Akshara Mushtika Kathanam is what Achyayana says as one of the 3 arts. But Desha Bhasha Gnanam, let people learn more languages, understand the unity of languages. So Akshara Mushtika Kathanam, Desha Bhasha Gnanam, Vrechita Vikalpa. These are the 3 arts to be taught to youth out of the 64 arts, according to Vatsyayanas, Vidya Samuddesha. So you can do it. So please do take it up as a spirit, as a national mission when we get the job done.
Sir, I have a question for which I'm going to share my screen for a little bit because I could not find the name. I had seen this at the TCS office by the person who heads the research center. This image, this is on an urn found in Scandinavia somewhere, and they excavated the proto Shiva, Pashupati seal. It also has at the other side Saraswati, seems like Saraswati with with an elephant on besides her. Do you know the connection between this and the Sindhu Saraswati civilization?
Yes, ma'am. This is called the Gundestrup cauldron. The images are all so vivid. They are memories remembered from the Saraswati civilization date. You know what? You can call him Pashupati, you can call him master of animals, you can call him what you want. You could call him Trisharas, three faces. Tvashta, Tatan, Tatar, brass worker, a metal worker, an artisan. See, they were communicating messages through very simple pictures of animals. Each animal can represent a resource. For example, elephant, Kariba, Iba, is an elephant. Karba, Ib, means iron. Tiger, Kola, Kul, tiger. Kul, working in iron. Kollam, working in iron, ironsmith. So that means each bird, each animal, or as I told you about the Badiga, the boar, and the artificer who works in copper and metal and wood. So like this, they were representing these symbols using the Meluha words to communicate the wealth resources that were available. So the Gundestrup cauldron is an excellent example. It is made of silver, and all the images are relatable to Indus script hieroglyphs. All of them, most of them, in fact, all of them, including the lady being plaited hair. That also is a twist. Medha is a twisting of plait of hair. Medha is iron. So like this, I think we'll be able to very clearly see the link. So that means our Pitrus, our Purkis were enterprising. They were moving all over the place. They were inquirers. They went up to Norway and left this evidence of the Gundestrup cauldron. It's a pure Saraswati hieroglyph, Indus hieroglyph. There's no doubt about that. And I brought out a number of my books and all. There are about 20 books. I will share it with you all of you. Please do email me, okay?
Horse are found in Sindhu Saraswati civilization, and what DNA controversies, sir?
Yep, you know, horse has been found in Gujarat. Horse bones have been found in Gujarat. Because of these horse bones, we have found the bones of wild asses, car, blacksmith. So, horse existence is beyond any doubt. It has been proved by people who are very expert in identifying physiologically the old bones of these horses and all that. Horse did exist. It was a small type horse. It's not the Arabian horse. It's a short horse that existed with 38 ribs, as explained in the Yajurveda. So the horse did exist for thousands of years, and definitely during the civilization, which could take on the Sinoli Ratha as a horse-drawn chariot.
Professor B.B. Lal's excavations in Kalibangan, where he excavated Shivalingas. Now, unfortunately, why is this controversy still going on with people like Tony Joseph saying that, oh no, there is all this Aryans business. When there is a Shivalinga presence, is there a controversy around it that it is not Shivalinga, it is something else?
Oh no, Rahul, you have raised a beautiful question. You know what? What Professor B.B. Lal found in Kalibangan is only a toy, a terracotta image. What Madhuswarup was found in Harappa are 7 Shivalingas in a worshipful state. They have been well documented in the excavation report of Harappa. Excavation report by Madhuswarup was. Shivalinga was a very important signifier of activities. And Shivalinga, as I briefly mentioned earlier, has 3 parts. Brahma Bhaga, Rudra Bhaga, Vishnu Bhaga. Brahma Bhaga is quadrangular, Rudra Bhaga is octagonal, Vishnu Bhaga is cylindrical. Or it could be other way around also. Rudra Bhaga and Vishnu Bhaga can interchange. So when the Airavateshwara image is shown. On top is a Hamsa representing Brahma looking for the end of the pillar, and at the bottom is the Varaha looking for the end of the pillar downwards into the Patala. So that search goes on. So the Shivalinga was an important understanding of the concept of the Yupa, the Ketu, the orthogonal pillar, which had the Shashada on top to carbonate metals, fused metal, to introduce an element of carbon into the molten metal to create hard metal alloys, like iron becoming steel. So this activity is going on. So very important. And more important, as you mentioned about Shiva, as Deepika also brought out, he represents the Kailasa Natha. The Kailasa mountain on top of it is 6. It's a metaphor. From the hair knots of Shiva flows the Ganga, which Bhagirath later on gets out, just as they are going to get out Saraswati from Sarada. So the Bhagirath came out with the Ganga from Kailasa Natha. So this imageries are got to be understood in proper terms. Maybe Lord's work on Kalibangan is a categorical proof that the work of Madhuswarup Path in Harappa has been proved conclusively that Shiva Linga worship, Shiva Linga activity was an important activity of identification of the Bharatiya culture. There's no doubt about that.